All right, so I wanted to share a little bit more about our story and how we met because if I was hearing a story like this, it'd be really encouraging to me. And so I thought it might be encouraging to some of you. Travis actually had been engaged before we ever even met, and it was in her early 20s. And after being together with this girl, she was great, but I guess, he just felt like she wasn't the one. And they had been together for 4 years. And when he called off the engagement, obviously it was really hard for him and that whole situation. And so I want him to just share kind of like what it was like for him being single for 9 years. Because, I mean, my story, I had been married for nearly 20 years by the time we met, and obviously had 9 kids. So, going from, yeah. So I just want him to share.
Yeah, so obviously going from engaged to single for 9 years was a pretty big shock to the system. But when I broke that engagement off, there was a lot of intentionality that went into those 9 years. And ultimately, I had basically just made a pact with God that I wanted to stay pure. And I wanted to really find the right person before I started sowing energy and time and effort into somebody. So really, I kind of went on a 9 year journey of self-improvement. Not intentionally 9 years. That's just kind of the way things worked out. But ultimately what happened was that I kind of felt like God just closed the door on my dating life and my relational life, at that capacity, of course. And I really did. I searched for a long time. I searched for probably the first half of it. Um, and kind of through that journey, God led me to a couple of different strategies or a couple of different things that He wanted me to do. One of which was just massive self improvement. I wasn't ready to have a wife, to be honest with you. I was only 21 when I kind of first made that decision and first made that pact with God. So I had a lot of character development to go through. I was very angry. I was, I didn't treat people properly. I didn't treat myself properly. So I needed to change that dramatically. And God knew that, and He started working on me, and I started submitting myself to that process. And although I was searching actively for the first couple of years, I really was kind of focused on making myself the best version of myself. But in that process, a couple things really stood out to me. One of which is I started journaling a lot, and just prayer journaling, and then also like kind of writing down how I was thinking and feeling, and what I was going through, writing down scriptures that spoke to me. And I ended up writing down what I really wanted, to see in a marriage. What should a marriage look like? What I would like my wife to look like? Different features, blonde hair, a bunch of stuff that amazingly came true, right? Like God will give you the desires of your heart. Um, so I just remember journaling a ton and then kind of filing those journals away and forgetting about them until we actually got married. And a couple other things stood out to me too. I think it was 2016. I had just moved down to Jersey, maybe like 2014, 15. I was really becoming super dedicated in my prayer life, spending hours a day reading 5 to 10 chapters a day, spending hours in prayer. And I remember God spoke really strong to me in 2016. He said, "You need to start praying for your wife." And I'm like, "Well, that's funny because I don't have a wife." And he in his infinite wisdom, was like, "No, your wife needs you right now, and although you don't know who she is, I want to see if you will put yourself on the line for her and actually start covering her right now." And we kind of talked about that after we had gotten married.
Yeah,
And
we didn't even like. I didn't even know he had done that because so he was even fasting like for a whole year too. Like not fasting for a whole year, but
that'd
like
be hard. But I fasted every Monday for an entire year. So I fasted like 52 days out of the year, from Sunday night to Tuesday morning every single week. So lots of fasting, lots of prayer for my wife and for other things that were going on.
and so like after we got married, I don't even know how it came up, but I think maybe I found one of his like volumes of journals, and we were like, I was like, wait a minute, that was in 2016. I'm like, I mean, I had been married during that time, so obviously he was not in my mind at all, but I was fighting for my life that year. I had cancer and I was in severe depression and I was literally battling. I mean, I had a lot ahead of me that I was trying to overcome.
Yeah.
And so that whole year, we put that together. I thought that was so cool
Yeah. No, totally incredible.
because
And
we didn't even meet until at least 3 years after that.
right.
So,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. I mean, that was, a little over halfway through my kind of 9 years of being single. And literally that whole time, I only went on a handful of dates and no one made it past date 2 or 3. It was just kind of like, okay, I know that this isn't the right person, Lord. So at that point, I really just kind of made a deal and I said, hey, you know, when the right person shows up, just talk to me strongly, let me know. And I knew that I would know when I found the right person, if that makes sense. So, um, kind of fast forwarding to, was 2018,
the
2019?
very end of
Yeah, 20,
2018.
yeah, exactly. So, we talked about the business conference a little bit and, I had gone to the first business conference and I was about to go to the second Danny Johnson conference, which is where I met Shannon. And I had this person just come out of nowhere on Facebook, and it was this older black lady. She goes, "Hey, Travis, I heard you going to the second Danny Johnson." And I'm like, "Okay, how'd you hear that?" Because I haven't really told anybody. She goes, and I didn't even know who this person was. Maybe she had just seen me at the conference or whatever. And she goes, "I just really feel like God's saying something you've been searching for a long time is going to reveal itself at this conference. Like it's gonna show up for you." And I'm an actor, I'm a filmmaker, I have inventions, a bunch of different patents and stuff like that. So it could have been a lot of different things, to be honest with you. And when someone says something like that to me, maybe it's wrong, maybe it's right, but I don't hold my breath. I'm like, oh, okay, thanks. Yeah, and I kind of go on with my day. And I don't think much about it. However, I did take a screenshot kind of our conversation because I thought it was really interesting. So, fast forward to the conference, I, the week before, sign up to start coaching with this prophetic coach. Amazing guy. His name is Ravi. If you've seen The Father of Lights, he is the Indian gentleman with his face blurred out in Father of Lights. Well, he recently moved to the United States and he does coaching and stuff now. So I signed up to do coaching with this prophetic coach, and I had this woman reach out to me like right about the same time. I go to the conference, meet Shannon. I'm like, oh my gosh, this woman totally nailed it. And I ended up trying to reach back out to her on Facebook, and she was nowhere to be found. Did not exist. I mean, I searched her name up from the little messenger bubble that I had taken a picture of. I did everything I could to find this person. She does not exist, at least not online anymore. So I don't know if that was angelic or whatever, but it definitely was really, really cool. And then, truth be told, when I met Shannon, although we hit it off very swimmingly, I was kind of mad at God. I was like, Lord, I don't have any kids. I love children. I love my nieces. Love working with children in my martial arts school, but I don't have any of my own, and I wanted to build my own family. And I kind of went through like a week or so of being pretty angry. I'm like, I really feel like this is the person I'm supposed to be with, and why would you put me in this situation? Right, wrong, or indifferent. I think a lot of people would feel that way, but I was pretty upset. And amazingly, how God's timing is, He had set me up with that prophetic coach, and Ravi, on our first meeting, he jokingly said, or I thought he was joking, he said, "I'm writing a book about you." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he had literally written 80 pages of prophetic notes of things that he'd been praying for like 2 weeks for me. And he started praying for me before I signed up to coach with him. I mean, it's just amazing. So I was like, all right, this guy certainly hears from God. I want to know what he thinks of Shannon and the whole situation. So I kind of vaguely was like, hey, I met somebody. What do you think? And have you heard anything from God about my relationship with my potential future wife? And he goes, yeah. He goes, yeah, Shannon's from God. I'm like, what? Like he just totally read my mail and knew everything about it. So it was just such a crazy experience. And
Yeah, he had a lot to say about that too, but Travis was just like, you know, he was still kind of having it out with God. What did
yeah,
God say to you? Like, it was kind of cool.
yeah. So I mean, as I was kind of praying through me and Shannon talking before we really officially were in a relationship, I was just like, God, this is a lot. Like, how do I take on a family of 10, right? A woman and 9 children. How do I do that? And I think one of the biggest things that he said to me through the whole process was, what the world calls baggage, I call beloved. So it was just really clear that I wasn't coming into something where it was like I had to come and save the day. It was like I was stepping into something that God was working in so strongly, and we were there to complement each other and to grow this family together. And I think, you know, immediately things started clicking. And we'll kind of tell that story probably in a different video. We probably don't have time on this one, but God really worked all of those things together in such an amazing way. And it would take me weeks on video to describe all of the amazing details that God works in. But yeah, I hope that is encouraging, whether you're a guy that's single for 10 years or whether you're someone who's been married for 10 years or 20 years and you feel like you're baggage and you feel like you're used up. God's got something amazing for you if you'll give your life to Him and you'll allow Him to work those things together for your good. That's my story. And I'm sticking to it.
Yeah. That was so good. I feel like I don't even need to share anymore.
Cool.
I think I was going to share more, but that was